I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to The Real Talk. I hope you're all well, happy, safe, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is a platform for open-minded individuals to come together, share ideas, share experiences, so that we can help each other, learn from each other, and grow as a society. So if you're new to the channel, please click on that subscribe button, like, share, comment, and help us grow this channel more and reach out to more people, so that more people can come on and share their experiences. And if you are new and you want to come on and share your experience or view, all our information is in the description, so get in touch with us. So introducing my 2 guests. Welcome Danny, welcome back, thanks for coming on again.
Thank you very much. I think it's going to be a fun chat and a good topic to come into.
Definitely. And of course, our regular guest, co-host, whatever you want to call him, Triv. Welcome back, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. I have my voice back. I'm not hungover, so yeah, this should be a much kinder video on my body than the last one.
Yeah, well, if those of you who haven't watched our last video, we did a video on social media and racism on social media, and we're going to continue that topic on racism, because, like I mentioned in the last video, there's a lot to discuss and dissect, and basically look into. So last week, like I said, we spoke about racism on social media. Now we're going to look at it in a broader perspective. Racism in our general society. So, like with everything, there's always a reason why there are these things. So, Danny, I'm going to start with you. Racism has been there for generations, right? From back in our grandfather, great-grandfather, it's always been there. And now, because of social media and because the world has become a smaller place, it's more spoken about, it's widely spoken about, but also there's more of it because we have access to a lot of people and we can speak to a lot of people. But we need to start from the beginning. What do you think, or in your opinion, is the cause of racism? Because once we know the cause, it's only then we can move forward and try to, fight racism. So what, in your opinion, what do you think was the cause or is the cause of racism in our society?
I guess, in my opinion, this is completely my
Of
opinion.
course, this is everyone's
But it goes,
opinion. This
but it
is the
goes
show
back
about
to,
opinions.
I think, the colonial days and slavery days. So these European countries were venturing out to look for new land, new resources, establish or expand their territories, and they got to these different lands, North America, Africa, South America, Asia, and they came across people that did not look like them. So I think that's what was maybe a shock to them, that they're people that look different, and hence treated them differently because they didn't speak the same language, they had different cultures, um, maybe saw them as inferior people because technologies didn't evolve around the world at the same time. Everyone had
Great
access
point.
to different resources all around the world. So yeah, I think it goes back to the colonial days when European countries were venturing out to look for land.
Yeah, no, that's those are some great points. So Trev, do you have any other points you want to add to what Danny just talked about?
Uh, yeah, I think fear. We spoke about the fear culture in a previous video, and I think weirdly enough, I think fear has something to do with the root cause of racism. We have a fear of the unknown, and yes, there was a need for explorers, colonialists, whatever you want to call them, um, to enslave people to do the work that they wanted to do. But I think another part of racism is that we found people. White people found people that looked different to the way that they looked. They did things different, and they never saw them as equals because we fear things that are different to us. So I agree completely with Danny, and I also think that weirdly enough, fear plays a part, or played a part, in the nurturing or the conception itself of racism.
No, definitely, and like you said, we already spoke about this, and if for viewers out there, I'm sure you have different opinions. What, in your opinion, do you think is the cause of racism? Let us know in the comments. Get in touch with us. It's really nice to hear different views. So moving on from the cause of racism, right? It's still alive and breathing its ugly head in our society still. Now I'm gonna start with Triv, bro. What are the reasons? Why do you still think that it's, we've evolved as a society, as a human race, right? We've come a long way. Danny mentioned about how the technology wasn't as advanced back in the day compared to how it is now. We've advanced in so many ways, but why do you think this is still happening? Because if we're becoming more open-minded to a lot of things, why are we still living in the past generations, and the mentality is still filtered through in our current times?
It's a difficult question. I think I'll go back again to fear and say that fear is a part of it, because now, so we don't want to accept, my experience in China. The racism that I've experienced in China is purely based on not understanding other people, of having a misconception, of having an irrational fear of somebody else because of a rumor that you've heard somewhere along the generations that have passed, and then that then feeds into future generations, and it decreases with every generation, I think, because of awareness and people integrating together. So maybe out of 10 people, every cycle, one person starts to filter it out of the system. But yeah, I think so my first thought would be fear. We're not willing to learn from each other. We're not willing to adapt and think that,
But that's
this
quite a
person
shame,
does.
because information is so readily available, right? We should be able to be clued up about different cultures, societies, how people basically work in their culture, and yet we have this even till today, and that's the frustrating part.
Ra-
Yeah,
Rahel? You're 100% right, bro. Information is readily available. Incorrect information is also readily
That's
available.
true. Good point.
If you look at the COVID situation, there's people that believed that 5G was causing COVID, and
Isn't it?
I mean, yeah, obviously, sorry, people correctly believe that 5G was causing, but that information you can find massive articles
Great
online
point.
written
Great,
by
great
people
point. Yeah.
that will back that up. So yeah, I agree with you, but information can be negative also, right?
No, that's good. Good point. Danny, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add something to Triv's point, right? We have information available and people are more accepting of different races, different cultures. But
No,
what I've
definitely.
noticed is people like to accept from afar. When it tries to integrate into your own society, and this is actually very prevalent in Canada. I know a lot of Canadians will be against this and will not be accepting to this, but it
That's
is
fine. That's
true,
why
and
it's
I've
called the
seen it.
real talk. We're
Yeah,
talking about real
and
things.
and
We're
it's
not trying to
very
hide the
true.
truth.
Yeah, it's from afar. Everyone is like, "Hey, nice to meet you. You're lovely." But it's when it comes to integrating the same people from a different society, it's like, yeah, you're good from afar, but I'm gonna go back to my friends who are the same race and culture as myself, and we're gonna have our small group. I mean, giving you an example, Canada has a huge population of different races and cultures. At least Toronto has a huge number,
Yeah.
and but still, you will see people in their own um, in their own groups all over the place. There is integration, but then there's also division in these
But
small groups.
I completely get your point, right? But also, yeah, that's more to do with being comfortable, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily fuel racism. Like you don't necessarily have to be friends with everyone, right?
yeah,
You have your own culture, your own interests, and you get
yeah,
along with people who are similar to you. That's just a
yeah,
fact.
yeah.
So I don't have a big issue with that. It's fine. You can be with your friends or your groups, but then don't spread hate about other groups. That's the
That's
main racism point, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
you don't have to like everyone, but you don't have to go around hating everyone. There's a big difference. You don't have to spread that negativity. You
But I
can just
think that here's my point, right? And it goes back to the whole systemic racism. It's the inclusion part of it. People are afraid to include people. So you're afraid to include this person in your group of friends. Same way, if you look at the government, they're afraid to have other cultures because they're other cultures. They're not part of the same culture. They're not part of the same place. So the inclusion part kind of gets omitted
okay.
entirely.
Yeah,
And the less you include people, the less you understand about them, right?
yeah.
Think about COVID, right? Just taking that as an example. Everyone started off with the whole 5G thing. If you don't understand what 5G is, and if you don't understand where the virus comes from or what a virus is, you'll spread rumors about it. You won't want to focus on the correct information because you've heard one thing and that is it for you, right? So going back to the same point, it's the inclusion part of it. Until we don't include people, we won't understand them.
No, brilliant.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very brilliantly put. So that's a main thing, and we even in countries, especially if I'm coming to you now in South Africa. I mean, it's for many people. I'm sure they know about apartheid and what happened in South Africa with like racism was on the front for a long time. Only it's been how many 25, 30 years that South Africa got independence. I mean, it's still there now, right?
94.
94, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, around 20, 30 years almost. So it's still new, it's still young, compared to globally where countries got independence years ago, but it's still there, right? It hasn't completely eradicated from the society. Um, my question to you is then, what I know South Africa in particular has done things to get rid of it or minimize it, right? First of all, my first question is what do you think should be done more, right? And secondly, do you think it's working?
Um, I think in order to understand what should be done more, I think first we need to look at what impact systemic racism still has on South Africa today, or still has on South Africa today. So, there's a brilliant video that I've seen on YouTube. If we can find it, I'm sure we can link it
Yeah,
in the
please send
video
me,
below.
link
But
it, definitely.
yeah, so it has people from different backgrounds standing at the starting line of a race, and start line and a finish line, and they tell them that, okay, we're all going to have a race, and whoever gets to the other side is the winner. And then the person coordinating the race says, okay, if you grew up with two parents, please take one step forward. So now you don't have to run 100 meters in this race, you have to run 99. Okay, cool. Now, if you had access to the internet going through school, take one step forward. Now you have to run 98 meters. Somebody who never had two parents growing up or access to the internet has to run 100 meters. And they keep going through these factors that impact people's progression in life. So the point of that is, not everybody starts from zero. We're all running the same race, but not everybody starts from zero.
Great
because of
analogy.
the impacts
Yeah, love
of
it.
of racism. I can't claim it. I've said, I saw the
But
video
still, the
on
fact that you
YouTube.
found it
Yeah,
and shared it,
yeah.
well done.
Yeah, it's a really, and it's visual, so you can actually see this head start.
We'll try
that
find
some
that, but
people
if we
have.
don't and
Yeah.
someone does find it, please share it in the comments. You know, it's something great to
Yeah.
share.
So some people have this head start in life, and I think it's critical for people to understand that it's not everybody starting this race from zero. So now that we've spoken about that, now we can look at what needs to be done. Everybody needs to catch up so that they can start this race from the same point of view. South Africa has run Black Economic Empowerment, BEE, and there's a lot of people, the Indian community, I speak from experience, that are very, very negative about it. And
Sorry,
the
Triff, before
black
we
person's-
carry on, just could you briefly explain to, I'm sure a lot of people might not know what that is.
Yeah.
Just a quick 2-minute
Okay.
explanation to that.
So it's very simply put, it's meant to be a system through which black employees or black companies would be given preference over job positions or for contracts that they apply to get. So if two candidates, one white candidate, one black candidate, both have the same qualifications, the role would be considered a BE role, and it would be given to the black candidate in order to sort of bring them back up so that they can start that race from zero. So that very, in a nutshell, is what Black Economic Empowerment
thank you
is.
for that.
It's been very poorly implemented in South Africa, and I think that's what a lot of South Africans need to understand, the difference between BEE being necessary and BEE working. They're two different entities. The fact that it's been abused has nothing to do with whether or not BEE is needed.
The
It is
intentions
needed.
were right.
Correct.
But the application has been horrendous.
Yeah.
In certain aspects.
So I think a better implementation of systems like BEE are important to be able to bring people back up to the same starting position so that we can run this race together. And that's all the way from school. There's kids that are writing the same exams that just don't have the same resources to prepare them for those exams. So from school all the way up to university into your working life, I think we need to do things to elevate people that have been negatively impacted by racism, so that eventually we get to a point where when that start gun goes for the race, we're all starting from the same line.
Yeah, and I hope one day we can be in that position where everyone has equal opportunity and is starting from, like you said, zero, the same line. Danny, I'm going to ask the same or similar question to you. What, in your opinion, do you think can be done to eradicate or at least completely minimize racism in our society, so that we can all be live in harmony? I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but isn't that what we should all be striving for? I mean, why else are we on this planet, just to compete with each other and step on each other so we can move ahead, rather than all of us moving together as a society? So yeah,
Um,
what do you think can be done?
I'm going to build on Triv's point, going back to BEE and the implementation of BEE. I mean, the idea is great, but it's not been implemented well. From what I've seen in South Africa, is the roots haven't been built properly. People in the working force are given priority, which is great. However, if someone does not have the right education, how are they going to, even if they have the same qualification, how are they going to compete on the same level as someone who's got this great education coming from white backgrounds? So in school levels, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Triv, at some point while I lived in South Africa, what the government did was they reduced the pass mark in schools so that their students can pass and get to university level. But I don't think that's the right approach. Why don't you give them a good education, give them good teachers, give them good resources, give them good materials, give them a good environment so that they can build on themselves and then get to the same position? Because what's that saying? Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man how to
Yeah,
fish,
exactly.
feed him for a lifetime. I might be quoting this
No,
completely
no, no. You're
wrong,
right. You're right.
No,
but I
it's
think
right.
that you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think, and even living in North America, I've seen same thing. These communities don't have the right resources. They don't have the right schools. They don't have the right healthcare. So how are they supposed to compete with people that have the right resources and the right education? So they don't end up getting a good job, and it just carries on and goes on and on.
Yeah, that's the
So
same.
yeah.
It's again the same concept, right? Because again, they're not at the same starting point. It's difficult for them to catch up. And what we speak about education. We've done videos on education. And education plays a massive part again in this, right? Um, like you said, if, if to build anything, you need a solid foundation. And if these people are thrown into jobs without the education, how are they going to thrive? How are they going to succeed? So it needs to start from the right at the beginning. Like, I think it's so important for everything. You need to go back to the roots. And when you sort out the education system and provide the environment for people, then they have a chance of equally competing with everyone else. And then we wouldn't have all these things, BEE or any of the different forms of empowerment. So my point is that education is so important. Another point I just want to add is that I think another thing we should do is the way we teach history and other subjects in school. We need to teach, like when I went, and we spoke about in the education video with Triv, or the one we did a few months ago, where the way history is taught is from a victor's perspective, and then you don't empathize with the people that actually struggle. So all these foreign countries, even in some African countries where we grew up, history is taught from a victor's point of view. Oh, they colonized, they had territory, they had power, they had weapons. Oh, we're great. But what about the people that struggled, right? If you as a kid can't empathize and they don't teach you empathy from the people that struggle, then how are you going to understand that that hardship and whatever the other races went through? So it is very, very important. Now we're running out of time. Is there anything you guys want to add before we close this chat?
I think for our next video, because I don't want to get into this topic too deeply now, I think capitalism plays a massive part
That's
in
a
terms
whole other
of
video.
that. Yeah. So like it's very difficult. We need to be able to share the wealth. We need to be able to create platforms for other people to grow, and it's very difficult to do that when a single demographic monopolize everything in a country. So I think it's fine for us to be talking about systems like BEE. It's fine for us to be saying that we need to give everybody an equal starting point. One of the things that needs to be addressed massively, especially in African countries, is that governments need to start being stronger and to weed out capitalism. Capitalism has its benefits, but you cannot be giving all of your money in your country to a single demographic and expecting other people in that country to grow at the same time.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And we will do another video. Danny, I just
Yeah.
want you to throw your facts and figures before we end.
Yeah,
to
just
get
building on that, that goes back to the capitalism thing, right? Like Trev mentioned, it's you're giving one demographic all the power, and looking at the Canadian government, most of it is white dominated, even though 50% of the population is not. Um, if you and it goes down to it builds upon the capitalism mentality. These people that get the bigger contracts, they're friends, they're family friends of these government officials. If you look at Toronto, like I was going through all the different regions in Toronto and their councillors. I was looking at all the provinces and territories in Canada. There's 10 provinces and 3 territories, and you can see the demographic. It is very, very unfair. So even in these regions, all of these bigger contracts, all these multinational companies, everything goes to these friends and family members and friends of
so that
friends, and
demographic just continues.
it just
right?
continues and it never ends, because your next generation is either going to be your cousin or someone that you already know, who's part of your demographic, that you will give the contract to.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. No, great point. And look, we're not saying that we should completely ignore the dominant race and then like
Yeah.
everyone. It's equal. That's what we want. Everyone to be equal opportunity, and basically equal opportunity, so that when you're making decisions, right, you're taking those other demographics into account. You understand where they're coming from. So the
I
policies
think the
that
white
government. Sorry, yeah.
so I think the white male demographic that we're referring to, I think when you use the word equal to make everybody equal, what's important to understand, and I think white people get very ruffled when this is said. We
Some,
want the
not
land.
everyone.
Some
We
people,
do,
yeah. We want the land. We want the money. Blah 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 blah. In order for us to be equal, they need to be unequal now, because they were more than equal previously. So when people are asking you to give back stuff, it's not because we don't want everyone to be equal in the future, but in order for us to get to an equal point, you can't start here and expect everybody else just to catch up. If some people have to move up, you also need to move down, so that we can
when
sit
you're
at a
here
level
and
playing
you
field.
keep on moving up, that gap
Yeah.
still increases. So
Yep.
yeah. But anyway, gents, this was a brilliant topic as always. Thanks for your input, and you guys both made some brilliant points. So thank you for coming on, Danny and Triv. And,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Good talk.
No response. But anyway,
My pleasure. Yeah. I was being a gentleman and waiting for Triv to respond, and then we just looked at each other.
we're only gentlemen on the show. Afterwards, it all goes out of the window. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and let us know. I know this is. Some people might think it's a sensitive topic, but it shouldn't be sensitive. It's something we need to speak about, and we need to get the issue at hand. We need to solve it. We need to get to ways and ideas and take it to the top, so that things change.
Yeah.
It's all well and good speaking about it now, but we need to take action, and that's the most important thing. So if you are watching and you are in a position to make change, then please do it. Let's not just speak about it. And So thank you everyone for staying with us, for watching, and for joining us. You can come on and share your views, and we will be back very, very soon. So take care, everyone. Bye bye.